To go. Her name is Brittany Kennedy. Her topic will be building the African empire. Why we need to rely on ourselves.
Mm,
Interesting. So we're just going to go ahead and add her onto the stream.
Hello.
just talking about that too, huh?
Can you guys
Hi.
hear me?
Yes. I don't know if
Okay,
you
good.
heard.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today. Do I just jump right into it or?
Yes. Go right
Okay,
ahead.
perfect. So I've been able to chime in a little bit and hear some of what has been talked about, and I think all of these topics are very valid and very important. Building the African empire, why we need to rely on ourselves. We need to really, really strengthen our own economies and build our own wealth. As we have seen from history, it never works when we allow somebody else to come in and help us. And while we would like to believe that people have pure intentions to help us build our own economy, we have not oftentimes, we have all the time seen that the goal is always to take advantage of us, to utilize our resources, to utilize our manpower to build their own wealth. And so, it's never worked for us. And actually, I wanted to just look at a snippet of an article that I pulled up from the Wall Street Journal. And it says, it says, giving alms to Africa remains one of the biggest ideas of our time. Millions march for it. Governments are judged by it. Celebrities proselytize the need for it. Calls for more aid to Africa are growing louder, with advocates pushing for doubling the roughly 50 billion of international assistance that already goes to Africa each year. Yet evidence overwhelmingly demonstrates that aid to Africa has made the poor poorer and the growth slower. The insidious aid culture has left African countries more debt-laden, more inflation-prone, more vulnerable to the vagaries of the currency markets, and more unattractive to higher quality investment. It's increased the risk of civil conflict and unrest. The fact that over 60% of sub-Saharan Africa's population is under the age of 24 with few economic prospects is a cause for worry. Aid is an unmitigated political, economic, and humanitarian disaster. To me, this says everything in a nutshell. Assistance does not come for free, right? We pay for it in some kind of way. And it puts us at the mercy of the people that are, quote unquote, assisting us. So as we've seen with China coming into Africa to help build the infrastructure, one thing I do not understand is we built our own pyramids, right? We built our own pyramids. So why do we need another country coming in to help us build our own infrastructure? Why are we not utilizing our own manpower? We are the richest continent when it comes to natural resources, yet we are the poorest continent. That to me is alarming. And so the need for us to realize that anytime we have let an outsider in to assist us, whether it is the Europeans, the Asians, during COVID, during the pandemic, China has a huge African population, and they were all rendered homeless due to the pandemic. They weren't treating their own people like that. They were treating us like that. So why are we building forces with individuals who do not have our best interests at heart, who do not care whatsoever, and their only sole goal is to build their own wealth, build their own economies, and to do it on our backs? And so here, I'm actually in New York City. Here in America, it will take 2 centuries to close the economic gap between Black people and white people. That is alarming, right? We are not creating generational wealth. We do not own enough businesses. We do not have our own community. In other communities, such as the Jews, the Asians, the dollar circulates in their community for probably about, at best, like 20 days is how long it circulates before it leaves their own specific community. When we circulate the dollar, it's in our pocket for about 6 hours before it goes to somebody else, another culture. That to me is crazy. We don't have our own communities. We don't have our own schools in America. And so overall, what I'm saying is that the need for us to unify amongst ourselves and build our resources. We are highly intelligent. We have everything at our disposal. Why are we not utilizing it? Why do we feel the need to allow others to come in to build our wealth? Why are we not creating more generational wealth? I'm not understanding these concepts and why we are so lagging behind economically, even behind other cultures that are considered people of color. That to me is it's disturbing, and so I feel like we really have to focus on building our own. We really have to rely on ourselves. And it's not to say that there aren't good people out there that want to assist in building our economy and want to fight for injustice and things of that nature. But we need to really find the brotherhood and sisterhood within ourselves to do it ourselves, because ultimately we have seen historically that when somebody else comes in to try to do it for us, we're at the complete mercy of them and become slaves to them, quite literally. And so to me, it's like, why haven't we gotten that concept? Why haven't we understood that? When I learned that China was coming into Africa to help build the infrastructure, I was angry. Like, why is our political government aligning with outsiders? Have we not learned our lesson from 500 years ago when slavery took hold? Are we not paying attention to, like, when is it going to really root in us? And I think part of the issue is that we are constantly looking for the quick fix. We're not patient enough. We want it now, and we're not willing to. I think we're easily bought and sold, to be quite frank. The easy way out, and that's what we take. And I think that is the extremely wrong approach, and it is, I think, killing our people, and really, really speaks to the mentality of a lot of us. And I know a lot of us are actually really fighting for unity and fighting to build that generational wealth. Me, myself, I'm a business owner. I had my son a year ago, and my thought process was, how can I raise my son and be home, be available, but also make money? What am I going to do? How can I do that? And obviously, entrepreneurship is the best thing to do, because it's something that I can pass on to my future generations. I can give them a business. If I go and I work for a Fortune 500 company, I'm going to get a great pension. I'm going to get great benefits. I'm going to, get all the accolades, but I can't pass that down. That means nothing to the future generations. They can look back and say, my mom worked for so-and-so, but they're not going to be able to tangibly take that and utilize it. So why would I want to build another Fortune 500 company? When I was in college studying art, I was working in retail, right? I climbed my way from the bottom to the top, and I had this whole concept of what I was going to do and how I was going to get into management. And I would see my sales were higher than everybody else's sales. I would just calculate for a 5-hour shift how much money I made that company within that small amount of time, knowing that I was only taking about $100 home after taxes. Who does that? Like, if we stop and we actually think about these concepts, why do we do that? And so, when I got into management, when I finally, after 3 years of climbing that ladder and waiting patiently and getting 25 cents, of a raise after 6 months, and that was like, whoa, oh my God, I can't wait for my next review. Why would I do that? Right now, I am a spiritual consultant. I'm a tarot reader. I have my own apothecary. I make that in an hour. I make what I used to take home in 5 hours in less than 1 hour, maybe 45 minutes. And I get to be at home and watch my son and tend to him and do whatever I need to do. Why are we not thinking outside the box? Why are we not? And I know it's not easy. A lot of us don't always have the resources to just get up and start that, because we still have bills to pay and we've got to plan ahead and you've got to do that. But then to me, we've got to do it, because these other people, if it takes us 2 centuries just to close the economic gap to our white counterparts, I mean, we might as well just what are we going to do? And that's if we continue at this rate. That's only if we continue at this rate. Hopefully, obviously, we're going to elevate and get stronger, and we're going to make more and more progress, because we are making progress. But ultimately, you've got a lot of people who are comfortable. They're okay with where they are. They're okay with where their family is. You've got people who are okay with just that bare minimum. And I think that we need to get more invigorated and more angry and more passionate about where we are and where we want to be, and stop thinking that people are our allies, because you can be friends as much as you want to, but at the end of the day, they really are not our allies. And at the end of the day, their generational wealth isn't our generational wealth. And so we have to start thinking outside of the box as to how to prepare. A lot of times I want to support Black-owned businesses. And to be honest, when I start looking and getting out there, I almost quickly go to Amazon because I don't want to pay all the shipping fees, or I don't know if the product is going to be good enough, or all of the other things, or there's not enough options, right? And so to me, it's like, how come somebody hasn't stopped to think that we should make a Black Amazon, like Black-owned businesses only? Because you can't go to Amazon and just, I've tried it, you can't go and just search, Black-owned products or whatever. They don't have a list for you. Why do we allow them to capitalize on our resources? When I go to get African fabric, why is it not an African selling my fabric? I don't understand it. So we allow them to capitalize on our culture, on our resources. If we took all of the art, right, all of the African art from all of the museums in the world, do you have any idea how devastated that would be for England, America, all over the world? What are the big Black African museums that have our own stuff? Why do we give it up so easily? So there has to be a shift in mindset where we realize that we are our own links and we have to stick together. We're so busy competing with each other. We're so busy fighting each other that we can't even get to that point. And that to me is sad, frustrating. In Africa, you've got tribalism. In America, you've got the same concept, but you're from this side of town or that side of town or whatever. And it makes no sense to me. Or you've got the gang violence or, whatever the case is. And yet we really have to put our backs together and build upon ourselves, because if not, we're going to go downhill very quickly. I mean, we can just look at what's happening in America and just the whole Trump debacle, and I could go on and on and on. So at some point in time, we have to realize that we're kind of living in an illusion here. We can see the progress, right? But to me, that's all kind of like an illusion. It's kind of like a wash in front of our face. Yes, it's progress. We know that. But we know what's really behind the closed doors, right? We know that racism still exists. We know what their real motive is. We know that when China wants to come in and build infrastructure, they're not like, oh my God, Africa, we really want to help you better your land. They don't give a dang about that. So at some point in time, we have to sit there and realize that we're not as far as we think we are. And we can't continue with the same mindset from then. We have to shift it to where we own our own. And I think that's really important. So I don't think that we are going to see the progress that we could really see. Especially in Africa, it's such a rich land, such rich culture. We have so much there. We have to take hold of that. We have to utilize that and stop allowing other people to come in and build for us, because they're not letting us build for, like, we can't go into Russia and build for them. They're not trying to look for deals with us. America's not looking for deals with us. So why are we so quick to look at other nations and allow them to come in? I mean, we owe literally China $145 billion for the infrastructure that they built. How long is it going to take us to pay that off? $145 billion? And yet we are literally, the Congo is literally in natural resources, I think number 8 on the list for the most richest place in the entire world. Like, at some point in time, we have to realize that they're using us, and we have to use ourselves to get ahead. It's not making sense. We're not going to make the progress that we could. So that is my tidbit there.